What have you managed to avoid your whole life? I've been fortunate enough not to break any bones in my life, even though I participate in a variety of sports, hiking, and other hazardous activities. I've been lucky enough to avoid any catastrophic accidents that could have resulted in shattered bones. I've always been aware of safety precautions and sought to reduce dangers. Whether it's because I'm lucky or cautious, even though mishaps can occur any time, I've focused on staying well in order to prevent breaks or fractures. I'm hoping that as I make my way through life's adventures, this fortunate streak will hold true. I have managed to avoid jail drugs. I would say alcohol. Unfortunately, someone spiked my drink while in college, so yeah, they went there. I often find myself as the butt of the joke, being considered lame and boring because I don't do those things. I have no interest in alcohol, nor drugs. I believe if I stray away from them, I will be able to avoid jail, even though those things are not directly correlated. I just feel like they are connected, and use being jail-free as motivation to avoid drugs, alcohol. It works for me. I have never worked at a restaurant or food service of any kind. And thank God, I worked delivering newspapers a little as a teen. I also did some house painting with my uncle. Then I went to college and worked at a survey call center. Then I worked phone jobs for a while and went back to painting houses and doing light remodeling work. Then I went back to school and became an accountant. I will say that working the phone job sucked, but I'd take that any day over food service. No thank you. Marriage. I've only thought I'd like to get married in a few specific relationships, but otherwise I haven't really been interested in a contracted bond to a romantic relationship. I'm almost 40, and the older I get, the more I feel like marriage is just how people force each other to work through and accept deal breakers. Watching any horror movie, I just can't handle them. I've avoided them my whole life because I know I'd never sleep again. My imagination is vivid enough without adding nightmare fuel. Friends have tried to get me to watch them during Halloween, but I've successfully managed to wiggle my way out every time. I've managed to avoid getting a cavity my entire life. Seriously, not a single one. I think my obsessive brushing and flossing habits might be a bit over the top, but when I see friends dealing with dental work, I feel like it's all been worth it. Plus, the look of disbelief from dentists never gets old. Getting a tattoo. It's not that I don't appreciate them on others, but I've never found something I loved enough to want it permanently on my body. Plus, I'm pretty indecisive. The idea of choosing a design that I'd still appreciate decades from now just seems impossible. Jury duty. Every time the subject comes up, I realize I've somehow skirted around this civic duty. I've never even received a summons. It's not intentional, and I'm not complaining, but it is a bit strange considering how many times I've moved and changed addresses. A hangover. I've never been much of a drinker, and on the rare occasions I do indulge, I'm hyper-aware of my limits. I've seen too many mornings ruined by hangovers around me, and I decided early on that it's not something I want to experience. Going to jail. I'm 83. Also avoid ... Getting sued. Marrying for a third time. Train airplane wrecks. Having that fourth child. Getting caught in a tsunami. Listening to pop. Watching anime. Caring what happens to the Kardashians. Watching a Star Wars movie until The Force Awakens. Before that movie, people's reactions acted like I was a fool or something. Haha. I didn't purposely avoid. I didn't get around to it, and now I'm willing to watch the other movies. Jury duty. I got summoned once, but was a long-haul trucker. I was exempted. I quit soon thereafter, but never got summoned again. I think I must be in the database as truck driver. Don't bother with this one. I'm 40 years old and have never been drunk. I'm not a fan of drinking and just don't do it. I also have a weird phobia of throwing up, and have witnessed it happening to others too many times. Not willing to risk it. Hard drugs. Had weed before. I think it's overrated. Most of my family has massive addictions. Crack, heroin, booze. Never me. Always worked on my shit, so never needed a release from life like that. I'm 52 and have never changed a diaper. It is important to note that I don't have any bio children and my stepdaughter was 24 when I married her mother. If there are grandchildren, I will change diapers. To curls 1 cup. I think I was a junior in high school when that was the thing. I was a 4chan dipshit back then. I honestly don't know how I managed to avoid seeing it. Glad I did though. Sports, surprisingly. I'm not the most athletic person, though I'm awesome at academics. Every time whenever there is a sports event at school, I somehow manage to avoid it every single time. Military service. It's been abolished in my country since 1995, so I did not do it. Now they're thinking about implementing some new military youth bullshit back, but I'm too old to serve. Never smoked a cigarette though second-hand smoke was unavoidable prior to 2007. Never eaten a Big Mac. Never had a cup of coffee. Never had a curry. Never been so drunk I blacked out. In college I never got into the pressure of kids taking Adderall to study. I saw it ruin some people. As for my entire life, legal troubles, unwanted pregnancy and addictions, doing addicted drugs not including caffeine lol, breaking a bone, getting pregnant, never had a BF or partner, getting arrested, getting stung by a bee or any insect, smoking cigarettes, drinking alcohol, taking drugs and gambling. My father was a Pols and did all these things. He taught me what not to do in life and I'm better for it. Having children, apparently out of my group of 5 friends, I was the only one who actually meant it back when we all used to talk about how we didn't want any. Against the odds, sexual assault. I'm a young woman and go out frequently, often alone. So it's suddenly quite surprising in a way that I haven't encountered it yet. Drinking a beer. I've only had alcohol 3 times. A vodka Coke, whiskey, and a margarita through completely separate events. Never had beer, cider, or anything else. Drugs. I have no idea why people have always thought I've done drugs, weed, cocaine, steroids, etc. I haven't and don't plan on doing them either. Mangoes. The first girl I ever liked told me to go suck mangoes. I had never had a mango up until then, and I still haven't. Suck M yourself. US born, I managed to make it 50 years without the word cunt in my vocabulary. Then I met one who lives to embrace the attitude and lifestyle. Smoking a cigarette, inhaled enough second-hand smoke to blacken the healthiest of lungs. But never smoked a cigarette. Just seems very gross. Being stung by a bee. Am I allergic to bee stings? Who knows? I hope someone is around when it happens, so I don't go into anaphylactic shock. Alcohol, drugs, and smoking cigarettes. I have nothing against the people who drink or smoke, but never felt like I needed to smoke, nor drink. Chickenpox. I simply haven't gotten it. Into 3 pox parties, and shared a bedroom with my sister who's had it. I'm either immune or fucked. Getting my ears pierces. Many people are fascinated by the concept of not even having the lobes pierced and never wearing earrings. Speeding tickets. Bad a few minor other ones, but never straight up speeding. I do speed usually 5-10 over mph or 10-15 on highway. Being a brainwashed, guilt-ridden, suffering Catholic believing the lies and bull about the big guy in the sky. I stopped at age 9. Doing math ... seems easy, but it's fucking everywhere here. When I was a teen it was easier to find an 8 ball than an 8. Christian or other religious type of guilt. I've never felt it and never really cared what God would think of me. By the grace of Christ. Somehow didn't get anyone pregnant in my wild years. And never got arrested. Also shocking. Drugs. Suicide. Losing the will to live and taking part in otherwise horrible things that most kids nowadays do. The song Friday by Rebecca Black. Breaking a bone, Persimmons. Creepy men. I think my RBF intimidates them. I avoid everything that wasn't a result of my own actions and I didn't want to do ... And it feels very good. Getting a cavity, breaking a bone, or catching chickenpox. I'm old, so it was still around when I was a kid. Wealth. Oh wait, am I supposed to put down something good I avoided? Like that serial killer in 3rd grade, nearly 50, admission to hospital, car crash, and never had a typical childhood illness, measles, mumps, etc. I've been working at a power plant for 15 years, and I'm still not sure how electricity is actually made. Bullets, of all the bullets who have been fired, none of them have hit me. You can call me. The flash, fatigue, and memory loss make me feel frustrated when I learn things and then immediately forget them. Kardashians, the hills, Jersey Shore. A cancelled flight, despite being a million-miler on Delta. Honing a smartphone. Still on an all blokier. I'm only in my mid-30s and living in Germany. I've been in the mining industry for 30 years, and I've never once stepped foot onto a 9 site. Being stung by a blue bottle in the surf almost daily for years, and not once have I copped one. Being loved by my parents. Breaking a bone. Getting arrested. Getting pregnant. Owning a dog. Getting a cavity, or needing any major dental work. I've only needed wisdom teeth remove. Getting beaten up. Ridiculed by drunken men. Fights. And I still manage to avoid this. A deep, meaningful relationship built on mutual trust, respect, and understanding. I've never used a toaster. I have used a toaster oven, but not a regular toaster. Having an unwanted child. That has been my biggest fear. Can't trust these hoes.